Hi there, it's Adrian at Cademy, and in this video we're going to look at how we can do invoices. So if you go into settings, payments, you'll see an option to allow booking with an invoice request. And if I enable it, I can configure a few details like my company name, address, email, phone number, and a extra bit of text which will show in the footer. And I can also add a deadline for the payments. In this case, the default is 30 days. If I click to save, what's going to happen, by the way, I don't need to enter a logo here for the invoice. It's going to use the logo on my Cademy profile. All right, so in this case, it's this one. So what's going to happen now is as soon as I've enabled that option, of course, when you book now, there's going to be an option for the customer to select whether they want to pay by card or by invoice. And if they do that, they can enter their company name and their VAT number if they want to. And when they continue, you can see they're not prompted to pay by card at all. They're just going to be getting a confirmation, and we're going to fire out an email to them automatically. And it'll look something like this, and it'll say download invoice or pay now. If they click to download invoice, it's going to download a PDF with the invoice. But if they click on pay now, it's going to prompt them to pay straight away. So when you look at this PDF, it has your details, the ones they've configured in settings. It'll have their details, the one they've configured when they were checking out. The logo is here from the account, the details in the footer as well. And you can see that in this scenario, I've included details to say that they can pay by bank transfer as well. But by default, we also include a link where they can click and immediately make a payment through the payment page. So in that email that I mentioned earlier, you saw that I included links to both the invoice and the pay now. It takes people to the same page. So it's just immediately going to the checkout process, and they can just enter their credit card details and pay, and job done. So within the system, within the admin, that will update the status of that booking. Oops, sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. That will update the status of that booking to say that it's been paid, right? Like so. If they pay in some other way, like through a bank transfer, then what's going to happen is you will need to keep track of that yourself. So when you get your notification from the bank that the payment's been made, you'll need to come back into Cademy and you'll need to manually change that booking. So let's go and have a look at that. Here's my booking here. And you'll see that you'll have the same options here to copy the payment link. So if you text this to them, they'll be able to just pay and that's going to do the job. You have the option to download the invoice again. If you need to email them as an attachment, this invoice, you can do that. And of course, if they've paid by bank transfer or some other means, you can change the status manually to say paid. So you know out of all the bookings that you have, which ones are overdue, which ones are being paid, and how, right? I hope that makes sense. Another scenario is when someone calls you or emails you and says, hey, I want to book for 5 people on this date, and can you send me an invoice? A quick way to do that is to click and add a new booking. You search for that person, and if you have them in the contact database, you pick them from this dropdown. If you don't, you can create a new contact on the fly. Let's say I found them in the dropdown, and I can do the same thing. So I pick them and choose which date. I'll add the 5 spaces they want. I can override the price, but I'll use the standard math here. So the standard price here, so it's 5 spaces, £96 each, works. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I can choose the payment status. So if it's already been paid in advance, I can leave it like that and that'll be job done. But if I want to invoice them, if I want to get the payment for this booking, I'll mark it as to be paid. And if I click to send the payment request email, that will do the same thing it does when people go through the process themselves and choose invoice as a payment method at checkout. But if I don't do that, then I'll just get the option to view an invoice and download it within the booking. So now the booking is added in here. So the spaces have been taken within this date, but nothing has been emailed to the customer just yet. It's up to me to download this invoice and email it to them manually with additional instructions if I want to, right? So it gives you a bit of an insight into how you can do invoices so that the customers can request them automatically through the checkout flow when they book a course, or how you can do that manually when you add bookings manually in the admin. And keep in mind that you can add bookings manually and generate invoices like that, even without the invoices option enabled on checkout. So if you don't want to allow invoices as a payment option on checkout, you can just turn this off. You'll still be able to manually add in bookings in the admin and send people an invoice through the system, if that makes sense, right? And another neat feature here is that in the confirmation email, at least in the default one, you can edit it as well, and you can customize it so even the custom emails will have this. But in the default one, if you look at this email here, there's a link to where the customer can go and manage their booking. And when they click on that, the customer will get automatically logged in. So they'll see, okay, this is where I need to be for these dates and so on, all this useful information. And if the booking hasn't been paid yet, they'll have a prompt to pay for the booking. If they've paid for the booking, they'll get a prompt instead so this will say download the invoice or pay now. But in this case, I've paid for this booking already. So instead, it's going to say download receipt. So as a customer, if I need to come back and have lost track of where that receipt was sent to me before, I can always come back and get access to my booking, log in, and download receipts from my account. All right. If you have any feedback, if you have any requests or ideas or criticisms, please get in touch through the live chat, and we'll be happy to have a chat and see what we can improve. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care.